or become a content developer like any other news station is.
And you feel they're doing this intentionally. It's just too obvious that it happens to a lot of conservatives.
Well, even if they're, look, do I think that there are a bunch of left-wingers that work at Twitter and where they can tweak conservatives? Absolutely, because it's just happening too often to conservatives. It's happening too often. Now, do I believe that everybody at Twitter is doing it? I don't, but the fact that they're developing algorithms, that's a human being. So, a human being is deciding, well, if I say the word conservative, that may have a negative connotation to me as a Twitter employee, just pretending. But if I say the word liberal, I may like that. And so what's happening is that there's just built-in bias going into however they're developing algorithms. That's what has to be happening, because it's not possible that you would have so many conservatives that are being, either their tweets aren't going out or they're being censored, they're being kicked off Twitter. So look, it's come to an end. I have been telling people that, and look, this is all ultimately related to the Russia investigation. Let's not forget that. So sorry for going on a rant here.
No, I want to hear it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you look at what they did to me, okay, this was not done by the Democratic Party. They weren't trying to defeat me. This was done by someone else with a very orchestrated effort to target me and my family. And you know why? It was because they wanted me off their case so that I wouldn't find the dirty cops in the FBI that were working with the Democrats in the Clinton campaign to collude with the Russians to try to basically take out a president. That's what it was about. There was millions of dollars spent against me, and I said it back in the day. I said, "Look, I'm gonna win this election. We're gonna file criminal referrals to the Department of Justice as soon as Rosenstein and others are out of there, and I can trust that somebody's going to do something with it. And then I'm going to go after all of these fake news stories and these social media giants, or the tech oligarchs, as I call them, and I'm going to go after them. The only way I have to do it is through the courts. And look, this is not going to be easy, but every single major news media outlet out there that wrote a fake news story, and there's a lot of them where they either attack me, my family, Republicans on the committee. Sorry, you just don't get to defame politicians and put it out on Twitter anymore. I mean, you can do it, but I'm going to come after you.
Congressman, and I discussed this with Lynn Wood on my Fox show, and this is something I've known anyway. That is, prior to the 1964 Supreme Court decision, New York Times decision versus Sullivan, states had all kinds of defamation laws. And you could bring these defamation lawsuits in the states, and they didn't have these cockamamie standards that were created, manufactured by the court, in order to immunize really outrageous conduct by news outlets. You and I favor freedom of the press. You and I favor free speech. You and I favor the Constitution more than the left does. But freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the First Amendment, the Constitution, does not immunize people from lying and deceiving intentionally, bad conduct. This isn't a matter of opinion. It's not a matter of nuance. It's a matter of known lying and conduct that is intended to have a particular result. And so this is something that's really important to look at. Now, I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm guessing Twitter's going to say what you said, which is, hey, wait a minute. We're a private company. You don't get to sue us this way. Is that what they're saying? I don't know.
Well, we don't know what they're going to say. And look, from our perspective, we don't really care what they say. We want to get to discovery. We want to figure out what are their algorithms. They say they're not shadow banning. Great. Show us your algorithms. That's all this is about. And look, I have a right as a citizen of this country, whether I'm a public official or not, or in the public square, I have a right to know, because they admitted that people weren't seeing my tweets. Just that alone is enough. But to let these accounts go on, and I don't want to go on and on here, but people need to know that they had accounts that were attacking me hundreds and over time thousands of times with retweets and everything else that were saying really bad things, accusing me of breaking federal crimes. Okay, as we were conducting the Russia investigation. So all of these things are related. And look, you don't get...
Now, hold on. Who was doing that? Was it some fake operation or some...
So they were anonymous accounts, okay? So, which we're basically asking Twitter, look, you are allowing these anonymous accounts who are nameless to slander me. And look, that is against their own rules. So even in their terms of service, they're not supposed to use people like if you or I go on Twitter, Mark, right now, and we put something sexually explicit out there, I guarantee you we would be taken down for sensitive content within minutes by the Twitter police, okay? But somehow, for 2 years, they allowed numerous anonymous accounts to attack me at will with sexually explicit stuff. They impersonated my family. They accused me of every crime in the book. And look, it's fine. I'm a public figure and I can handle it. But I am going to use every piece of the law that I have under the Constitution to protect my First Amendment rights. I have a right to go to the public square just like anybody else does. And think of what happens if I don't win. If I don't win, you want to talk about the Wild West, because what they're telling people, what they will be telling politicians, and the ability to attack not just politicians but also anybody that's famous. Mark, I can effectively go out there, develop a bunch of anonymous accounts, and accuse Mark Levin or anybody else I want of anything that I want at any time. Mm-hmm. Is that what we want in this country? I can just go and accuse you of well, I won't even say the crime, but just
but you know what? As a lawyer, they're going to have to make a decision. They're going to have to decide if they defend as a wholly private entity, and if they do that, Congressman, they don't have the protection that the media have, or they have to decide if they're a media-like outfit, in which case their conduct is going to come under scrutiny because they don't conduct themselves as a media-like outfit is supposed to conduct itself. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they try to defend themselves.
It will be, and that's why we feel very strongly about this case, and I've spent a long time developing it, figuring out a way to do it the right way, and we're starting with Twitter, like I said, because they are the gaslighters of all this.
Who else are you looking at?
I'm looking at other media companies. Of course, I can't tell you now who it is, but we will be filing probably one about every 2 weeks, as my lawyer and team can put them together.
Okay.
But there was a lot. I mean, you know this, Mark. I mean, I don't have to tell you, and your listeners know. But I mean, they accuse me of every crime in the book, and most of the major news organizations in this country were behind it. And somebody was providing them these stories, and we want to know who it was. And look, I have every right to know who that was.
And look how this crew operation. Look how they were working in concert, likely with Schiff and the Democrats, to try and move you at least temporarily out of the chairmanship for the purposes of conducting that investigation.
That's right, and that was you remember that one, Mark, and that was just one of many. That was just one little one. That was a big deal too, right? I mean, they were able to force me to step aside from leading the investigation. That cost us several months of our investigation. Just think, people are now, you're seeing these transcripts that are being released now over the last few weeks. Yeah. That was a result of the work that we did with our task force. Imagine if we wouldn't have lost those 2 or 3 months in there. I mean, it was really, I was out for 8 months from leading the investigation, but it really set us back 2 or 3 months in what we could have done. So we would have had that many more people that we would have interviewed, and we still have, as it relates to FISA abuse and the Democrats colluding with Russians, as we like to say today. We still have about 50 people that we'd like to interview under oath. You literally deserve the Medal of Freedom. You really do.
Thank you. You were the point on the arrow on this. You took all this abuse. You brought the litigation that led to the revelation of who was funding Fusion GPS and the dossier and so forth. And you took a lot of heat, including from Republicans in the Senate who were disgraceful, stabbing you in the back while you were fighting this war. I remember it, and I want to thank you, and good luck to you.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mark. It's a pleasure to be back on the show. And look, as these come forward, I mean, I'll be glad to come back on your show and explain it. But we will have